If you've ever felt like you're in this weird limbo between the life you've built and the life you actually want, on paper, things might look fine. Maybe you even look successful, but inside you feel like something is off. You are stuck between keeping the machine running and quietly wondering if this is ever really going to work out. I have been there. I was running 2 brick and mortar locations, managing all of the fires, replying to every message. Every team member needed me. Every client needed to speak to me. From the outside, we looked really successful. Our parking lot was booming. People were parking on the streets. People thought, wow, Stacey, like, how are you doing this? And deep down, I kept thinking, is this even worth it? Do I really want to continue? I was making money, or maybe I should say the business was making money, but not making true progress. And I didn't know how to admit it. I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want people thinking I was a failure. Everybody says, just push through, just keep going. The success takes sacrifice, right? No pain, no gain. We're told this. But what nobody tells us is that sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is stop doing everything. Because the life you want, you're not going to reach it by adding more. In fact, the more successful I get, the more I'm letting go. Let go of what no longer fits me and actually building systems to support me. And I've lived this shift myself. Moving from working 24/7, living off of fast food all day, every day, working 7 days a week, to building now a 8-figure, over $10 million per year while being a mom and a wife, right? And I actually get time to play golf and pickleball and like do some fun things. Now, in this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 turning points that will help you make this quantum leap in your life. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Stacey Tuschl. I've been a business owner for over 20 plus years, and I grow some pretty fast businesses. We just hit the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies in America the last 3 years in a row. Now, I take some quantum leaps, but there are some things I did to get there. So let's dive in. Number 1, I see this all the time. You're delusional and it's time you accept it. So a lot of times I will see clients being what I will say delusional, and that's good or bad. Sometimes they're way too hard on themselves. They are constantly, I only brought in $30,000 from that reactivation campaign, but Sally, she brought in $60,000. I'm like, hold up. You sent out 2 emails and 1 text message and made $30,000 and you're complaining about what Sally did. Like sometimes it's like we're delusional in the fact that we forget how amazing we actually are. We forget how hard success actually is. I only work with businesses that have already passed about $150,000 in annual revenue. These people are amazing. The hardest part is to get from 0 to 100K. They've all already done that. So whenever I have somebody kind of like whining, I whine too, but complain, be negative, I'm like, hold up. You are forgetting who you are, right? Now, I also see delusional on the other side. They think way too highly of themselves. They have this entitlement, right? And oh man, I had entitlement. I had built 3 dance music acting schools, multiple 7 figures per year, not working in the business anymore. Like I was like, wow, I made it, And I go to start well-oiled operations 10 plus years ago. And I thought it was just going to take off, and it didn't. And I was like, but wait, like I'm a multiple 7-figure business owner. Why wouldn't people want to work with me? Like I just couldn't believe how hard it was. And I had this sense of entitlement and this truly just being delusional that really, really hurt me. So I really want you to ask yourself, like, get real. Am I being delusional? Probably, but which end of the spectrum are you? Are you too hard, or are you thinking way too highly of yourself? Like sometimes I watch clients and they're like, yeah, but I don't want to do that anymore. I shouldn't have to do that anymore. I'm like, listen, no matter how long you've been in business, you have to market, you have to sell, you have to fulfill. This is what we have to do. You have to spend time with your team. Like stop thinking you've earned the right to stop doing the basics of business. I also think this kind of comes into like this contentment, right? Like how grateful are you? How happy are you? And sometimes we go off of feelings and not necessarily facts, right? We're like, I feel like sales are down. I feel like this was so interesting. We just had some people on our team say, I feel like the leads lately have been not as good. And I said, okay, tell me, like, what do you mean? They're like, well, they don't really know who you are. Like they're brand new to Well-Oiled, and it's just like it's just very different. It's not what the leads were like before. Okay. So these are feelings. So we don't just take feelings and move. We look at the facts. So I said, okay, team, We've got lots of data. I actually believe we run a lot of cold traffic. So we are targeting people that do not know me. So when they said that, I was like, I agree. But I also think that was like that 6 months ago and a year ago and 5 years ago, right? So we go into our software, which we use HubSpot. And in HubSpot, we found out, okay, at the time we looked it up, I think it was the month of August, okay? We had already sold 400 small business owners into our program, okay? Or no, sorry, I think it was over 700. And 411 to be exact, only knew me for less than 4 days. That is crazy. So we took that information back to the team and we said, you're right. And it's always been like this. And we sell people constantly. Like they don't need to know us for 3 days or 3 months or 3 years, or it doesn't matter, right? Like we had proof, we had facts, and it completely changed the way my team was starting to think. So I want to ask you, are you using facts or are you going off of feelings, right? We want data to direct us, not drama. Something that goes hand in hand with this is just not happy with the results that you actually are getting, right? So when you go to look up that data, when you see these big goals that you have, it doesn't feel like it compares to the progress you have made. So, right, we always think like, well, I was shooting for 3 million, but we only hit 1.6. It's like, what'd you do last year? 1.2. Okay, so you're up $400,000, right? It's so crazy how our brain just wants to tell us what we haven't done or what we should have done, not, wow, look at the progress you've made. And if you are not really owning this, this is why you're stuck, okay? It is easier to blame somebody else, everybody else, than yourself, right? So we want to maybe blame the leads or the market or the recession or a pandemic or an election year. It's easier to say, oh, it's the market. No one is buying right now versus like, no, I just need to get better at selling. No, I just need to get more out there in my marketing. So let your ego go. Trust me when I say, like, take the blame, take the ownership, get better. Now, most business owners, they stay stuck because they refuse to pause. We stay busy to avoid facing what's no longer aligned, right? And I know it sounds simple, but most people are not doing it. We just stay busy. We sit in our office, we work all night, we bring our computers everywhere, and we justify the chaos. We say, well, maybe next season it will get better. If I could just do this, next year, I won't have to do that anymore. And then next year comes and you're still doing the things you said you weren't doing. Okay. What if you gave yourself permission to say, this isn't it? This, like, not anymore. Like, I'm not going to keep doing this. Like, this is the moment that change starts. You get what you tolerate. Okay. And every time you are not liking something going on in your life, you have been tolerating it, right? You've been tolerating the friend that doesn't return your messages. You've been tolerating maybe a family member that continues to say certain things that get under your skin. You are tolerating team members to maybe show up late, right? Or have whatever it is, right? You are allowing it. It's time to stop. It's time to really think about it. Now, if you're using ChatGPT or another AI tool, and I hope you are, I want you to plug this into it. So first of all, comment the word goals below. I'm going to give you an amazing prompt that is going to help you get an honest assessment. Because let's be real, we are not being honest with ourselves. We're either being too amazing, all right, or too hard. And we've got to figure out the real truth. So I'm going to let you plug this in, and AI is going to give you a non-biased opinion of what is actually happening. Okay. So sometimes we're so blind to see what is going on. We are so close to it, we just can't see it. And AI can be brutally honest when you ask it to, and really show us like what is happening. Now, I did one of these and I completely disagreed with the answer. Okay. That was how actually not self-aware I was. So I gave this prompt to AI and it came back with what I would have said was completely wrong. Okay. And I was in a room and everybody else did it too. And everybody was like, wow, this is scary accurate. And I felt like mine was totally wrong. So I said it to my friends and they were like, yeah, that doesn't feel like you. And I was like, yeah, see, mine is wrong. Okay. So then somebody came up with the idea of saying, well, like, what am I really good at? Right. And then we all did that. And they're like, Stacey, how was yours? And I was like, it was very accurate. And I was delusional in thinking that, oh, it's right when it's about me being good. It's wrong when it's about me being bad. Okay. So I was kind of pouting. It took me 24 hours. I flew back home. On the plane ride home, I was like, I'm going to go talk to it. So I go back in and I said, okay, let's stay in this conversation. Here's what you said about me. Here is why I believe you are wrong. Okay. Here's some information you most likely do not know. Okay. So I chime in and it responds and says, yes, I did know that. And my answer doesn't change. Would you like me to show you why I think this? It's like, proceed. It starts to give me what it meant in more detail in how it's actually showing up in my life. It was so scary accurate. I was blown away. So what I'm saying is you really need, like, I will never not have a coach because I clearly am not being aware enough, right? I was so not self-aware that I thought, nope, that's completely wrong. Thankfully, I was smart enough to say to it, tell me more. If you're not smart enough to say to it, you're going to go on believing that it's wrong, right? So you need a coach. You need somebody to give you feedback. And after I got that feedback, it was like, oh, now I know what I need to do for the next 12 months. It was a massive unlock for me. So if you want that prompt, comment the word goals below and I'll send it to you. Self-awareness is the first door you have to unlock. And most people do not have it. So you want to ask what parts of your day feel heavy or feel forced. What am I actually doing when I'm producing revenue versus like when am I being busy versus productive, right? Where am I overcompensating just to keep the peace or keep up appearances, right? What are you telling yourself will constantly get better next season? That never gets better. Like I had somebody say to me, just hit me hard. She was on a consult and she said, I keep telling myself it's just a season. And that was 6 years ago. It's like, ouch. You know, like I felt it. I don't feel it today. I felt it years ago. I was like, yeah, you're right. You think just a little longer, and it becomes a decade sometimes of your life. The first real act of leadership, it isn't strategy. It's telling the truth about what's not working anymore before it breaks you. So many business owners burn out. Don't let that happen to you. Now, that moment of honesty, this is where momentum will actually begin because you can't fix what you're pretending is fine. You don't even know to fix it. You don't even know to focus on it because it's not a problem. All right, number 2, we want to increase your intolerance. So find out what you are tolerating in life. I just brought this up. Most people normalize stress and burnout until it's just their identity or till they have a breakdown, right? I had a client who was doing phenomenal in business. I think she got up to about $600,000 with just one part-time employee and she was doing everything. She was working 7 days a week, pregnant, like I think like 3 other kids at home. It was just crazy. And I said, you need to hire. Like this is insane. Her profit margin was insane. I'm like, you have the money, you need to hire. And she was like, no, I can't. And my husband says like, I don't need to. And why would we spend another $50,000 or $60,000 on somebody else when we could just have the money for ourselves? So he says, I can't. Okay. And I knew it was, she wasn't listening and I knew it was going to have to end in something bad happening, right? And she said one day she just broke down and said, I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. Goes to her husband and says, I'm not moving forward. Like, I don't like this. I hate my life. I'm exhausted. I'm working way too hard. And of course, what does he say? Okay, fine, you can hire. But here's the story that I want you to see. She was tolerating allowing him to dictate her business when he didn't work in it. He didn't know what she was doing. He didn't understand how much she was working, the burnout, the stress, what was going on in her mind. She was tolerating him being in charge of something he knew nothing about. You have to ask yourself, what am I tolerating? Who am I tolerating? And what am I going to stop tolerating in the next 12 months? Your kids deserve a parent who's present, not just busy, right? Your team deserves a leader who's actually inspired and not just stressed and has time to talk to you, right? Not, oh, I'm too busy. You'll have to get on my calendar next week, right? You deserve to live a life that you can be proud of, but you won't get there by doing everything for everyone. You can't build $1 million business with $10 boundaries. You can't scale if you're terrified to delegate. And I know that it can feel selfish, right? I've had people say, especially if you're a parent, a spouse, a friend, you've been conditioned to believe that you have to put other people first. And if you put yourself first, that there's something wrong with that. So I've had somebody say to me, I want to do what you're doing, but I feel selfish. Like I shouldn't be doing this, that the kids need me. My husband needs me, right? And if you're not constantly giving, serving, or sacrificing your time, you feel like you're failing the people you love. But the truth is, you will become a better parent, a better spouse, a better leader when you stop running on this hamster wheel, right? When you choose to protect your energy, your time, your joy, your peace, your love, right? You actually will have more to give the people who matter to you the most. Now, for years, I believed my worth came from doing. The more I worked, the more I gave myself a little pat on the back, right? And I realized like, being there for everybody else meant never being there for me, right? But when I finally stepped into leading instead of doing, everything started to shift. So my business grew, my marriage got stronger, my kids got the best version of me. I actually got breaks and vacations and started having hobbies again and just all of this, right? Not the burnt out, distracted, half present version, right? If God has placed a dream in your heart, it is not by accident. It is not selfish to pursue it, right? You were entrusted with that vision for a reason, and letting guilt keep you small will not serve your family, your calling, your people that you're meant to impact. So no, you are not selfish for setting boundaries. You're not selfish for building your dream. You're showing people that you love what it looks like to go after something, to live fully, lead boldly, right? To be an actual purpose, right? Now, from here, I want you to audit your boundaries. Where are you saying yes because you feel obligated, not because you love it? And here's how you know. Go look at your calendar. When you look at your calendar today or tomorrow, are you excited? Are you dreading it? When you dread your calendar, it's like, what did I say yes to and why did I say yes? And how do I not put this on my calendar again? Stop doing work to feel worthy and stop leading like you already are. And that means delegating even when it feels uncomfortable. And especially then, right? Start thinking about yourself differently. Examples like people having this mindset of like, well, obviously I have to keep payroll, right? Like I'll have people say things like, well, yes, but I should be the one to do that. I mean, I'm the boss. So everybody would expect me to do that. Or clients, they need to see me. You know, if I wasn't there on a Saturday, my clients, they would not be happy. You get what you tolerate. My businesses are open on Saturday and Sunday. I'm not there. You get what you tolerate, right? Now, do some people wish I was there on a Saturday? Probably. But am I going to live my life based on somebody else who thinks I should be sitting working on a Saturday? No, and you shouldn't be either. This is about stepping into ownership instead of over functioning. Now, every leader I know had to go through this shift, right? We all start as what we call an operator. We are in the weeds, we're in the day-to-day, and at some point, we break down to break through to that next level. The next level we call manager. And all it means is we stop being the doer of everything. And in a management phase, we start leading more than we do, right? We start to inspect what we expect. And when you shift into that, you can't help but have a quantum leap, right? Because it's no longer you trading your time for dollars. It's building the team who now can multiply your time, multiply the profits. All right, number 3 is a quantum feedback loop. So I had a client ask a question when I was on stage and I answered it. Felt like I gave him a pretty good answer. It's what I would do. I still stand by the answer. 90 days later, he comes back. He asks me the same question. Now, he probably asked me the same question because he had this thought that I have so many clients that I would never remember that he asked me. But I actually have a pretty good memory and I did remember that he asked, okay? Now, I gave him the exact same answer. I didn't acknowledge that I knew he asked this 90 days ago. I just gave him the same answer. And I thought that might be enough validation for him to go, okay, I need to do this, all right? But what was super interesting is why was he still on the same problem 90 days later? And here's what I will tell you from working with thousands of business owners, I know why. So we all have lots of problems in our business, okay? Lots. Like if you had to write down every problem you wish I could fix, you would have pages and pages and pages of notes of things you would want to fix. Certain clients, certain, team members, certain systems, like everything, right? I call these problems dominoes. And the reason I call them dominoes is because when you lay out dominoes and you say, okay, go knock them over, we know we're going to start at the beginning because they've been perfectly spaced that if you hit one, the rest of them fall. So here's why this person still has the same question. Because even though it was his first domino, he decided, I'm going to pick the one over here. I'm going to pick the easy one, the one that excites me, the one that I can check off the box really fast, right? Not the one that he knows he should do that he's procrastinating on. And this happens all the time. If you don't know which domino to pick, or you do know, but you are procrastinating on it, you are going to stay stuck in this never-ending cycle. Our problems are set up strategically. And if you're like, so we actually help people find their big domino. And what's funny is they come to the call knowing that's what the call is for. And the amount of people that say, my big domino is X, right? And they leave with a totally different domino. And it's because we have this emotional bias towards our tasks, right? Sometimes think about it. You know you need to fire Sally today, but you don't do it because she's nice and she's been here 6 years and you don't really want to have the hard conversation. You have a million other things to do. And it's just one more thing on your list. So you let Sally stay. And instead of having it be the first domino, you pick a different one. And Sally's still here. And while Sally's still here, being the wrong person in that seat, right? She's making chaos and she's actually causing bigger problems. Think about it. You're doing it all the time. I am really good. I've gotten really good over the last 23 years of owning a business at picking the first domino. The one that I don't want to do, the one that's going to be hard. There's a difficult conversation. That person's been here for so long. How am I ever going to let them go? It doesn't matter. I pick the domino that my business needs to succeed. Why is it that when we talk about taking action, everybody knows it, but very few people do it? Change isn't going to happen with a vision board. Yes, they're important, but you have to move towards that vision board. You don't need a master plan. You need movement. You don't need a perfect 3-year, 5-year plan right now. You don't need all of the answers. You don't need every detail mapped out. You don't need a color-coded calendar or a spreadsheet. You just need the right thing. You just need to do the next right thing. Finally, hire that first assistant. Even if you're terrified, you can't afford it. Say no to something or someone that is draining you, even if they don't understand. It's okay. That's not your problem. Protect your time by putting your CEO calendar into place and actually honoring it, not going like, well, I was supposed to do this, but she needs me, right? So inside of Well-Oiled, we give our clients this tool we call the Same Pager. And Hannah bravely shared that she couldn't get started because she was waiting on her CPA for some details. Then she realized it had already started to be Q2. So this is an annual same pager, an annual document. And Q2 started and she's like, I don't have my goals laid out. I didn't even lay my goals out with my team. So if I haven't shared these with my team and we're into Q2, now what, right? So she put together what she could. It wasn't done and it definitely wasn't done perfect. And I love that she shared that, okay? So she rolled out a half laid out plan, right? And the team started taking action immediately. So her goal was $2 million in annual revenue. And she said, I can see it now. Stop waiting for perfection. Stop waiting for clarity. Stop waiting for your CPA to give you numbers. Just go. Just do. It comes from moving, okay? You can pray about it. You can journal it. You can sleep on it. You can talk about it with your spouse, or you can just decide like, this is right. This is the next step and I need to go for it, okay? I don't actually sleep on things anymore. And here is why. I don't ever change my mind. I just waste a day delaying the decision. So think about it. When you are sleeping on things, ask yourself, like when you go to bed, you're like, okay, I'm leaning towards X. When you wake up, do you ever go, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I didn't do it. I have the opposite feeling today? Probably never. So when people say, I just need to sleep on things, right? I always get nervous because I think to myself, how many things are you sleeping on, right? Because every time you do it, you're delaying a day. You sleep on something 50 different times. Like once a week, you sleep on something. You're delaying every single thing you're doing, right? So you've got to get better at knowing the domino, like using data to direct you, not feelings, right? So maybe that's why you can't figure out which one to do. We use data. We see the data. We say that's what we need to do and we move. And we don't think about it again. The thing is, the only way to collapse the gap between the life you have and the one you want is by movement. One small action, right? One imperfect step at a time. And here's a secret that nobody tells you. every big win that I've had in my business, the things people now praise and call, oh, that was a smart move, right? Started as something I was unsure about. It was messy. It was unpolished, sometimes even a little reckless, right? But the act of moving created that momentum. So I just went to Las Vegas. We went to the Backstreet Boys concert with friends from literally kindergarten and middle school. It was so incredibly fun. And these are people that have known me my entire life. And they said to me, they actually brought up like what I'm doing and the success I have and all of that. And they were like, you know, I used to kind of think you were crazy when you first got started, like when I was right at 18. And my friend remembered my first mentor's name. We remember when you paid Sam all that money. We were like, what is she doing? She's nuts. And now we're like, that was probably pretty smart. Like he must have really known what he was doing. I was like, he did. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I fast tracked it, right? So they literally thought I was being reckless. And now we're together 23 years later and they're going, yeah, that was a pretty smart move. Like, I know. Thank you guys. They didn't think that back in the day, right? I didn't have a lot of support when I was making these decisions, but I knew that I needed someone to help. I needed to be doing these like risky moves and it has paid off. And I'll tell you, movement and momentum creates clarity. And that clarity is what gets me on a roll, right? So don't wait for perfect. Don't wait to feel ready. You don't need to be ready. I'm never ready. Like I was talking to these same friends and one of them was bringing up how she maybe wants to start a business. And she's like, but I'm like terrified. And I said, I'm terrified every day. And she's like, well, not now. I'm like, yes, now. Like, do you understand? Like what I'm doing today is the scariest moves I've ever done, right? And everything that, yeah, I have more experience, but I have less experience in where I'm going. So yeah, I'm super experienced in a 7-figure business, even a $10 million business. I've got the experience. I'm golden, but I'm not building a 7-figure, even 8-figure business. I have a vision of $100 million in annual revenue. We're shooting for 24 million in the next 12 months. I am making scary moves. I am terrified every single day. My credit card bill, I have one credit card, I have a couple credit cards, but my one credit card we use for Facebook ads. We are spending, I think, $150,000 a week on Facebook ad. That is $600,000 plus a month because sometimes there's more than 4 weeks on one credit card on Facebook ads. I am terrified, but I do it anyway. And I use data to reassure me. I use the movement to prove what I'm doing is right. Do I get it right all the time? No. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go, okay, lesson learned. Good to know. There's not going to be 52 perfect weeks in a year. There's going to be some really good ones and there's going to be some really good learning lessons too. But you need the willingness to act imperfectly, even if you're scared. So progress isn't about choosing the next perfect step, right? It's about choosing any forward step and refusing to stay stuck. I had a friend who just kept saying, I'm stuck. And I was giving her some free advice. And I was like, okay, do this. And she wouldn't. And then the next week she'd be like, I just hate being stuck. And I finally had to kind of like shake her and say, listen, you're stuck because I think you like it. You're stuck because you'd rather complain than do work. You're stuck. And I just kept getting, she's like, no. I'm like, then do one of the 17 things I've told you to do, but you aren't. And she was terrified. It was paralyzing her. So picture if you got stuck in a ditch, right? Your car went into a ditch, you're stuck. If you were in the driver's seat, right? And people are driving by and they're giving you advice, like try this, try that. You're like, that's okay. Thanks, guys. Nope, I'm just going to stay here. Eventually, people aren't going to help you anymore, right? But if I'm like, hey, turn your tire, turn the wheel, and you're trying all the things, I might get out and start helping you, right? Like people want to help people that are moving. People do not want to help people that are whining, complaining, and not doing anything about their life. And I know that can be really, really hard to hear. And I say that to the people I've coached, but also to the person I've been. I've been the person in the car being like, I'm stuck. I'd love your advice, but I'm not going to do it, right? Because I was scared. I was paralyzed. And that isn't going to help you. So you have to do and get the result. Do and get the feedback. And sometimes you get no feedback. You send out an email and nothing happened. Well, no feedback can be feedback. It's like, great, you wrote a really bad email. Nobody cared. Nobody clicked. Nobody did anything. Great, that's great feedback. Go write a better one. Let's plug this back into ChatGPT and see if we can get better conversions this time, right? So I want you to hear, like, you are not behind. You are not failing. You're not even stuck. You're just in the in-between. but you don't have to stay there, right? The life that you want, it's already being built, because every time you choose courage over comfort, right, you're moving, you're making progress. And I believe in you, even if right now you're still learning to believe in yourself. Like, grab my belief, borrow my belief in you. Because if I can do this, I don't have a background in any of this either. If I can do this, you can do this too. All I did was learn from people who are further along than me, and I know you have that same opportunity. Now, you're here, you're consuming. I love it. Don't just consume. It's time to implement. What is one scary thing you can do today that you have been procrastinating on, that it is time that you are saying no more? And in fact, comment below, like, I'm done tolerating, and fill in the blank. I want to hear what it is you are done tolerating. Now, I've got some incredible ChatGPT prompts, because I got to get you out of this delusional mindset into a fully honest, non-biased situation where you go, oh, yeah, that is what I'm doing. And I'm going to change that the next 12 months. So if you want that, comment the word goals, and I will get that over to you right away for free. I'll see you in the next training.